Watermelon versus Pumpkin.
Welcome to the Watermelon versus Pumpkin podcast. There's a watermelon over there. There's a pumpkin over there. They come together. They talk about things together. One gourd, one patch, one world.
Ooh.
You know what I'm talking about. Right here on the Just Bake channel, the JBC.
The channel where we do things and say stuff.
And say these things to an extreme level when we have to. You hear me?
The world is crazy, so we don't necessarily want to talk about all the things that are happening right now. The president has a crackhead son, and somehow it's okay, but that's fine. We want to take it in a different direction because I believe that everybody out there has enough of that stuff in their daily life. So let's try to explore some different things.
Tap into the world, the underground, the upper ground, the side ground. That ain't even, you know what I mean? It ain't even a side ground, but you know what I'm talking about.
The shelf.
The shelf life. What is your shelf life? Longer than the elf life. Why am I saying these bars? I don't need to. Because we've been inspired this week. That's why. Maybe not inspired. Maybe enlightened.
Enlightened.
We
is a
were
good word.
enlightened. We were enlightened. This is not inspiring me to do something more crazier than the norm, but it's interesting and it's enlightening to know these things are out there in the world. So we dove in because we've been checking out some Vice. Joint Vice has got some dope docs. So shout
Quick
out.
docs, you know what I'm saying? Like 30 minutes and all that. You know,
In and out.
Last week we watched about the thong song. This week you picked this joint out. Tell us about it.
So this is about Gully Rap.
Gully.
It is the style of rap that was breathes and created in India, Mumbai, India. There's a rap scene there, y'all, and it's pretty deep. And this documentary basically talked about the roots and the origin of their hip hop scene, where it started, where it went, and where it now is. You know,
From the ground up.
From the ground up. Started from the bottom. Now they're where? I don't know. They're over there, and in your hearts. But yeah, this was in India, man, which is new for me because I don't think I've really ever. I feel like at this point in my life, I've just assumed hip hop has been everywhere. But you know, it's like you can't just do that. You know what I'm saying? It's like I can assume that hip hop is because it's so big now on the internet. I feel like it's stretched across the world that they gotta know. You know what I'm saying?
It started out in the park. We used to do it out in the dark. Yeah, hip hop.
You know, there was a beatbox, there was a man, there was rhymes. But yeah, so I like I said, I figured maybe this might be a part of a tour we do on these things where we'll kind of dive into different parts of the world in a hip hop scene. Hello, that's a dope way. But this week I chose India, threw it on the table, and there's a lot to take in about this documentary. What I took from it is saw Eminem's fought.
That was interesting too. The two names that were mentioned most were Eminem and 50 Cent.
Yep.
And, you know, non-coincidentally, they're all cats that have sold over 10 million records. So
Right.
you can see, I mean, they went diamond, and you could imagine the
What
stretch.
part of the world, right? You see the world is stretched and touched, and it's like, yo, you know, these guys are getting access to it, you know? Even if they didn't have the internet, you know, these guys are talking about times of them getting CD players and shit, you know what I'm saying? Of actually getting introduced the old-fashioned way of like, hey, listen to this. What is this? You know what I mean?
One of the interesting things that I found about it was to jump off what you're saying, kind of like that. I remember in the 90s when I got a CD player, and it was kind of the same story that the gentleman on Thing told when he was like, for Christmas or whatever holiday, he got this bronze Sony CD player, and then he went to his friends and he's like, all the CDs you got, bring them over. It was cool to see a new opening, anew of just like, oh my, because I remember that feeling too. Like Offspring had a CD called Smash, and on the cover there's like a yellow skeleton on it, and that was my first CD. I remember listening to that CD on the first CD player I ever got, like while falling asleep on volume 1. You know what I'm saying? So my parents would get mad. Like I remember that experience. So it was
crazy. I don't know if I remember the first CD I bought.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was one of the mail order joints. It was I remember I had like a fucking Jeff Foxworthy CD.
Oh my God.
You know,
I remember the first cassette I bought. It might have been when I had the money. I mean, I've had cassettes and shit I got from people. The first one I bought though was I think MC Brains.
Okay.
Uchi la la la. Yeah, that was the nice. Uchi la la la. Yeah, that song right there. Me and my brother killed that shit, and there was an instrumental on side B. See, that's the era, nigga. You know if you know.
I have an old the tapes are a little bit fuzzier. Like I know I have Thriller on tape. Like it's it's no good. It gets
Right.
cracked and all fucked up. And I have a Easy Does It by Eazy-E on tape.
Okay.
But because of getting older, I remember more of the first CDs, and it was nice to see them experience that same thing.
Right.
And,
We basically were part of that. We bred that CD life and fucking
Yeah.
CD cases, and you know what I mean? Driving with those was a hazard.
Yep.
It's like, we'll just you fumble through CDs while you're at the stoplight.
Yeah. But seeing these gentlemen go through that for the first time was really a nice nostalgic feel of,
Yeah.
I remember that excitement of putting in a CD for the first time. And now there isn't that much excitement because the music, like for me, I go through Spotify. I pay whatever it is, $8 a month for Spotify and Hulu together. So I don't have that much attachment to music because I didn't purchase it. It doesn't matter that much because you can just skip the next song. And if there is only 2 good songs on a CD, cool. I'll put those on my playlist and never listen to the others again. So it's different from having that physical product. You know, like there isn't that much of a connection to it.
Right. You're there, and it's, even that's funny is like, because now you can like go to your favorite part in the song. Like,
Exactly.
you fuck your CD up when you did that. You know what I'm saying? You held, like, if you had that,
you're going to
CD
end up with
player,
a skip there.
Right, because you're holding that, hold on. You know,
Yep.
it's like, wait, was that it? And it's like, I don't know, but there's a laser in there burning the shit out of your CD, man.
Yo, laser, I got you. So seeing these gentlemen go through that was really nice, of that excitement, that
Right.
just excitement of hearing things for the first time and learning things for the first time. And just like anything else, like I'm sure everyone would love to go back and experience things again for the first time.
Right.
It's just like when you show your friend a movie and you're just like, yo, check this out. You get a certain level of satisfaction from that. You're the one that showed
This is
them.
right. It's like,
Yeah.
Oh, who put you on, though? It's a little, but just give me credit once in a while. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Don't run with it like you the first one. Because there's always that, man. Because I was usually that one that I would, like, probably show to myself, or, but I wasn't the mouthpiece as a kid,
Yep.
braggadocious one. But when you told the braggadocious kid, he gonna run with it like he came up with it. You know what I mean? He just basically stole your shine, like, oh, he can have it. He know where it came from.
In this documentary, I don't know a lot of names, but in this documentary, because I watched it a second time to find the name of this hating ass motherfucker, that's Ace. In this documentary, that's Ace, and that's the cat who. Well, I was there when he wrote that song, and we were doing it first, but no, we don't get it. We don't get much of the credit.
Yeah. Oh,
and,
he was hating on everybody.
We were the first ones to do it, but people like them better. But it was very interesting to see how
he was like, right. There was some beef, and they're like, who
Yeah.
started this hip hop shit in India? Like Ace was the one that was like saying his crew. He said, hands down, it was my crew, and he basically said that they stole their big hit came from something they said.
Gully, the
term Gully.
the term Gully, and how he used Gully first, and the guy that made the song that blew up off Gully, he used to be his hype man, and it was
It's like Gully Maine or something like that.
Yeah.
Was the name of the song Maine Gully or Gully Maine?
you could tell it was an interesting thing to where
is.
it's not necessarily where you are. You're going to end up with the same type of people involved in hip hop, because we've experienced the same things
Yep.
in New Haven, Connecticut that they do out in fucking India.
Right.
So that was interesting how there's a couple cats that do the comedy rap out there. There was, like I said, there was a dudes who were true school of like, no, this is what it is. This is what it's
Right.
supposed to
The
be. You don't
oranges,
get-
people that like, like I said, that's cool. You said that's like when you seen it, it was dope to see that they, in the hip hop community within India, they weren't all just one mainstream hip hop.
Yes.
Like there's pockets of other people that dove into like, nah, this is what it is.
Yep.
They like the true essence of hip hop. They like the 80s version or the 90s. And now they started getting the internet like that. You know what I'm saying? It's people forget, man, there's some poor ass fucking parts of India, man.
Oh yeah.
And Mumbai's got a bunch of slums, man. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? So it was interesting to hear that when they would listen to some of it, and it's like, man, and they would feel the aggression of some of the hard shit, and they'd be like, yo, that music meant for us, man. Like,
Yeah.
what they're talking about and the stuff they're seeing, they're like, we see that. That's what we, you know what I mean? So it was a relatable thing for them.
Yes.
Like, yo, we living poor. I'm taking what they saying and multiplying. I'm living poor times 10 over them. You know what I'm saying? So my gulliness is gonna get me even darker. You know what I'm saying? So I could respect that.
It was cool to see cats talk about like they're in India. They don't look as hip hop as one would expect. Like if you think of the word hip hop, they don't necessarily look that way. But for some of those cats to be like, we're living what Tupac rapped about.
Right.
That was wild interesting of we're living the life that Tupac was rapping about. We're in the gutter. We're in the, you know.
Right, and it's like, you got that?
Yeah.
You got that 100%. Because for them to even mention Tupac, so they went into all avenues, you know, and they're able to dissect of like, okay, well, then there's some that's just words rhyming, you know what I'm saying? And then it's meaningful shit, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So they started breaking down the different aspects of the genre, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the guy who blew up,
I think his name was Divine. Yeah.
Divine, and the guy that was in the song with him.
It began with an N. It was like
Nazir, Nazy.
Like it wasn't Nativity, but it was something close to that.
Yeah,
you know,
not Nazy, I think maybe,
Mm-hmm.
but it was the N in there. And them two right there, they basically were the mainstream guys that kind of blew up. So now you got a lot of the underground guys who feel like they're slighted because they helped the concrete foundation of it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you hear Divine speak, you know, he admits to him not being a pioneer of the shit. You know what I'm saying? He's like, nah, you know, but he got them bars. You know what I mean? And I try to listen to some of his stuff, and you can hear the cadences is there. Like you could tell,
there's
like,
talent.
oh, right? You could tell, like, oh, son is nice. But the thing is too, and like when we do our, you know, our K-pop reaction videos and stuff, and what we were saying before is a lot of people don't understand is like when you're watching it and you're reading the subtitles, because this was all basically in subtitles for, you know, off and on majority, you know what I'm saying?
Because there's a thick accent.
Thick accent. So there was times they had to put it there, and then there was times where they were just speaking Indian, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you now take that and put the words in it, and we're reading in English, the bars aren't hitting the same.
Yeah.
Because we're going for like what rhyme, you know what I mean? It's like, you're this and that, and I live in a tree, and I'm better than, you know, it's like, they don't.
Well, because when they say it in their language, it rhymes.
It rhymes.
When you transport it over there, when you translate it to English, it doesn't rhyme.
Right.
So then
we're
you're
just like reading a story.
Exactly.
Right.
Like I respect anyone that does anything, but when you read poetry, for me, I'm not gonna say you, for me, when I read poetry that doesn't rhyme, it does zero for me. It does absolutely nothing for me. Like you could be bleeding your soul on the paper. If that shit doesn't rhyme, it does nothing for me. I'll rather read a book.
But I just respect the fact that they embraced that part. Like you said, it was fresh for us. When this was that feeling they had because it was fresh to them. Like, yo, what is this?
Yes.
This is new, because what they known of it was funny too when they were talking about how it was perceived, how hip hop was perceived to their people, and you know, older people was like, oh, is it like the stereo, yo, you know what I mean? So it was like a joke to them, like, oh, that's how they see rap, because it was like, he said it was more of a heavy metal scene, I think.
Yeah, he was talking about there was a big metal scene, and then kind of like in a descending fashion, there was like metal, then there was a little bit of a punk scene, and they said there was also a little bit of a like alternative rock scene as well.
Right.
And they said it was dangerous. They said the shows would get rowdy like that.
Was getting beat down. Punks jump up to get beat down.
Oh, they said if the band got on stage and they weren't good, they said bottles. They said the bottles would get tossed at these fucks.
Yeah. So one guy, I don't know, it was Eminem, man. He basically said Eminem was like one of the first ones, and when he saw the 8th Mile, it changed his life.
Yes,
he wanted to be Rabbit. He wanted to be Rabbit. And they mentioned him a lot, and you said 50 Cent. 50 so
Cent
those were like the game. So those guys kind of, it was dope to see like their aggressive style of hip hop, like the Gully, what the whole thing is about. Is about the style. Is their gangster rap, or you know what I mean? Their Gully hardcore gutter rap, you know what I mean? It's like Gully, because we're in the Gully, everything's Gully, so that's like their slang they use too. So they created that, man. It was like interesting to see. It's like, yo, we relate to that.
Yeah.
And we're in the slums and shit is crazy, so we're gonna gravitate and hold on to that. Now we gotta get to the only part it really had a problem with, for me, is the cosplay. Excuse me, not Cosmo, the cosplay.
Costumes.
I say costumes is because I don't want to say that they're naive to it, but it almost just, I feel like it's when you're a kid. You know what I'm saying? And
Burger King Kids Club, where a kid can be a kid.
Where a kid can be a kid. And when you see something exciting, when I remember as a kid, I fucking saw Superman, I put a fucking cape on, I jumped off the dresser. You know what I'm saying? Like, I dressed like Superman because I was intrigued by the nigga. So they're intrigued and open about rap, so they don't understand that whole, like, no, Swagger Jack is not the shit. You know, we're from, they're like completely, and it's hard because for us, and you speak for myself too, it's
they
growing
look goofy as shit, bro.
right,
They
growing
look
up,
goofy
it's
as
growing
shit.
up the way that looked is like, yo, man, that shit was frowned upon.
Yes,
For us growing up, like, nah, you trying to be funny, motherfucker. Why you dressing like that? You know, what
I'll
I'm saying?
say I don't think they're doing it in a disrespectful way. I think they're doing it in a like, I love this so much, I want to dress like this, almost in the Halloween costume
even
thing.
the way
like,
they were walking, it was tough, man. It was.
I agree, like, but by no means am I championing
Right,
it. All I'm
right,
saying
right.
is like, I don't think they mean
They
disrespect.
mean it, right?
But I think it just comes off goofy as fuck because
does.
they looked weird. Like, you could tell in this documentary, glasses were a big thing to them. Everybody had a pair of sunglasses on that looked a little bit of a designer.
Very hip hoppy. It's like,
Yep.
you get the hat, you get the sunglasses. I am hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
It's like pan to the feet, open end toe sandals, nigga. That's,
Yeah.
it's just, we got open end sandals, nigga.
The
but
Air
you
Jesuses,
got,
the Air Jesuses. Yeah.
You hip hop from the mid chest up. You know, and shit was real. It's
Hip hop from the torso. You know what I'm saying?
it's
That's
like,
what it is.
And it's like, I meant no disrespect when there's times I'm giggling, but it's like when I look at it and they're throwing up like West Side gang signs and shit like that,
Yeah.
it's giggly to me. It's like, yo, these niggas in India throwing up the West Side.
Yeah,
You know,
because they're
saying?
from the west side of India, and they like we said, another one was Tupac. They were talking about where they really like Tupac. So there's dude out in there. His name was Tony. He was wearing an all red hookup with the braids going back. He looked like the mini Snoop Dogg, right? But he was talking about how he had gone viral because he wrote a rap about getting pulled over by the police.
He did, and he said, and his whole rap was about his response to the cops. He said to the point where he's even heard that motherfuckers were getting pulled over because they started spitting the rap to the cop.
Yeah.
You know, hi, my name is da-da-da. And he was doing the whole song, and the cops were finding charming the ones that knew the song and let him go. Hi, kid, get out of here. Yeah. I love that song.
It was interesting how it changed their entire culture in a way. Which, and to see it from the ground up was super interesting. And then there was another cat. Like I said, there were too many names to remember.
Right.
But another thing real quick about the names was a lot of them, it was one name.
Right.
It wasn't like
and
a
some
long
of them were
name.
close, like,
it was, this
like,
is Divinity. My name's Gravity.
like,
my name's,
right.
you know.
You heard a Cardi B. It was a Gary B.
Yep.
It was Garrib. Gary
And
B.
he was the comedy dude. And
He was.
now
That's
there were,
probably why he took that name. Okay.
and there were cats who were really mad that he was doing comedy because they were like, no, this is serious hip hop. We're doing this, you know.
I mean, I understood his perspective when he was saying that. He's like, for people that's like, listen, it's not a joke, you know what I mean? But it's serious, and when people make fun of it, it's a joke. And it's such an oxymoron when he says that. It's like, nigga, you looking the way you do is the same thing almost. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But you don't see that for somebody that might see it that way.
It's forest from the trees thing. They're involved in it. They're so in that microcosm there.
Right.
That where if they would come over to the United States and act the way that they were acting, even though they mean no disrespect, they think that they're just, quote, down. They would get clowned down.
I know, and that's messed up because I envision when these guys just walking through the middle of the Bronx or something, you know what I mean? But right now, it's a new era, though, too. So a lot of these guys that live out here from different cultures, they're developing these pockets.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? There's another one I want to introduce that I saw. It was about the Asian, hip-hop community.
Yep.
And you know what I'm saying? In the Asian, you know what I mean? And there was one with a guy, and I remember seeing him in another documentary that they put a snippet of it. In this one, he was like a official, like, Crip.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he was like, yo, they get on me because I say nigga, and I use that, you know what I mean? But it's like, yo, that's how I grew up. And all his friends are black. He grew up in that hood. You got to remember, like, he was a poor, like his Asian parents, they were poor. He lived in the poor neighborhoods here in our country.
Yeah.
And that's who he was around. You know what I'm saying? So he gravitated to that life. And them being in there, they had to even show off, you know, puff out more because now they at Target.
Yeah. You got to prove that you're super down.
Right.
Yeah,
like, if you can accept it within that community that's rough, they bout their shit. That's all, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, and I believe in that too, man. It's like, no matter what you are, where you're from, it is a bigger part of how you grew up, man.
Yeah.
You can be stark naked, you know, white. Your mom, you know, maybe you were born in like middle of Greenwich, Connecticut, which is a rich part. You were born there, but maybe you got put up for adoption as a baby, and now you grew up. It's just a weird scenario. You grew up.
Keep going. Keep going.
You got the Greenwich rich people got rid of the baby that grew up in the poor environment.
Yeah.
Damn, nigga, this should be a Disney movie. Hello.
Yep.
And now that poor baby is white and grew up with all blacks and they talk the same way.
Oh,
you
yeah.
can't knock. What do you want him to do? Get yelled at by everybody in the hood? Like, stop talking like us.
Yeah.
You can walk with us to the bus stop. You can go to our school. You can get our food that mama made, but you're not one of us. Stop talking like us. That's all he know.
Yeah.
I'm born in South Carolina. I'm talking with a Southern accent.
Yep.
You know,
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. So I'm a big believer in that too, man. Is some people when it's like, oh, that white boy doing this, they're like, yo. Some of them cats grew up in certain areas, man. That's how they talk. That's their friends.
Nature and nurture is real. Like you know what you grew up around, and that's going to be the building blocks of your life and how you react to everything else. And of course, you can learn and change as you go, but those are going to be, your starting points right there. So.
And I grew up to learn that because it used to be a part of me that I didn't really I had a sight towards the the white girl who acted ratchet and like why it's just such a bad look, But then it's like. Unless I know her, I don't know, because she might have grew up that way.
Yeah.
Maybe she had nothing but black friends, nothing but black, people that you got to remember. Like, and then we watched that other documentary about the white kid that went to the all black college.
Yep.
Of that simple fact is like, yo, I didn't feel embraced by my own community. I felt more embraced by another community than my own.
Yep.
So I gravitated to it. Like, that's a no brainer to me. You know what I'm saying? Like when people do that, it's like, so you can't really knock that, And if you're from that community, it's like, hey. If motherfuckers genuinely just want to join to be a part because they just love it, embrace the niggas. Come on in here, man. Let me show you how to do this and show you the right things that we don't like.
Yeah. And that's why I think a lot of these cats in India were like that to where they saw it and they loved it, and now they want to do it as well. And of course, sometimes it comes off goofy, like just like
they
you
take
said,
on the whole,
all of it. Exactly, the whole thing.
But to all fairness, from what their words is like, when they're looking at it, they look at them portraying it as a costume. They are showing it as like, this is your rapper startup kit. You got to look, all rappers look like this. We got bling, we got shades, we got, you know what I'm saying? So they're like, we love this music. Like if I was going to be a rock star and I would love rock and I was going to get into rock, you'd probably want to dress the same flow. Like,
there's going to be leather. There's going to be some leather.
Like if you were if you went back into the 80s, you wanted to be a rocker, like them niggas all had the same look.
Oh yeah.
The long hair. Like, this guy got a, you were different. If you were different from the look, then you had to stand out a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Like Bruce Springsteen had a fucking t-shirt and jeans on, man. You know what I'm saying? Like he wasn't like you're like, is this a rocker?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? But the nigga stood out with his songs and his talent.
And his bandana.
Right, and his bandana. To the point where it's like, yo, he's undeniable, man. He's not like the rocker look that was stereotyped, But
what was interesting as well, the gentleman who's the biggest rapper in India at this time of this documentary, it seemed was the Divine Cat, and he's the one that dressed least like a costume. He had like a Puma shirt on.
That was so interesting.
He had
that was so great. I think he got branched out a little more into actual. He probably looked deeper. I feel like he looked deeper into it. Like, it's not. Yeah, it's not cool to be like that.
Well,
like,
one of the greatest things that he said was, he's like, I was rapping, now I'm learning how to make songs. And there's a huge differential between that. Even how
like,
we had spoken before.
Know,
all of us, when we started rapping, we didn't know how to count bars. We're like, all right, I got a verse for the song. Yeah, it's 68 bars. Like, well, now let's bring it
how
down.
Do I count? What do I do?
Yeah. And so I think it was nice to see growth as well, where this cat's talking about, I'm learning as I go. And there's always that, I think, in every community, in every thing where we're doing the old school down, the truest, and this guy is meanwhile growing and changing and making the money, but you still got these cats down here like Ace, who was like, no, we're doing it the old school way, we're doing it the real way, we're doing
underground, man,
the way you're
supposed
to.
Right? They're holding on to that part of like, I guess. Every middle-aged upper person, that person that won't let go of the era of hip-hop, is like, it's not the same. Like it's going to change, man.
Listen, 1994 was great, but you know what? It's 2021 right now.
You can't do the same shit.
So I'm not,
it can't be the same. It can't.
Exactly. It can't be the same. And you can still like what you like, but it's just things are going to grow and
like,
move.
When there's something new that's out, it's okay. Because you don't have to follow it.
Yeah.
Don't be angry that it's not what you like. Just don't listen to it. Yeah. It's simple fix, nigga.
It's like when people take a vacation. Like if you go on a vacation, you complain because it's not like where you came from. Then why the fuck did you leave where you came from? Like, damn, this isn't exactly like where I was.
Yo, back home. Back home. Like, yo, if you say back home one more motherfucking time when you're on vacation, man, you stop it. You're here to embrace these people and their environment and what they do and try to get an understanding. What was that shit I said before? It was exposure and understanding.
Yeah.
2 words, man, that take us through all this shit, man. Exposure to these guys and what's going on and an understanding. And I think they might need a little bit of that. And I think Divine had that. That's why he just has a great T-shirt and a hat on.
Yeah.
Where, you know what I'm saying? Where he got a little hip-hop swag, but he's got T-shirts, hat, boom. And he got, like, from what I heard, Son's songs sound like he got some content. His cadence, you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, okay.
I think he seemed to be, he's one of the cats over there that brought the most of himself into the music as well, versus I have a costume on and I'm pretending to do this, you know? And
this is what you're like. You're like hip hop, I do hip hop. You know what I mean? I didn't even say it like that. But you know what I'm saying? That was the image that kind of comes off in some of these guys, you know, where it's very cartoony.
Yeah.
That's just how we see things. And being from the hip hop culture and you know, being a big part of that, I have a right to say that. Like, you know what I mean? I was a part of that growing up and bringing that to, you know, being a part of that movement. So when you see it and you're a hip hop lover, because I still love the music, and you go, yeah, man, somebody should be pulling them to the side like, yo, man, it's kind of frowned upon, man. But then again, I look at more nowadays, people don't care about that stuff no more. I'm speaking from an era we came from. So, and that's also exposure and understanding.
And Tupac changes.
So exposed to the fact that I'm seeing and hearing these new things, understanding that, hey, it's just more of a love thing than a naive thing. You know what I'm saying? And changes, like Tupac said.
That's why I say, like, if people aren't trying to disrespect it, then I think it's, even if they're showing love in perhaps like too much of a, you know, the wrong way. It's kind of like when a dog is too excited to see you. And like, I think that's what I feel that they're like. I'm not comparing them to dogs, but I'm saying they're so excited by this music that they kind of like, oh my God, I want it all. I don't know what to, this is what we do. We wear this hat, we wear these glasses.
And I try to think of it like, you know, and then if I were to put it to them, I'd be like, look, listen, it's just like this. I just so happen to say I was like, I'm in love with the Indian culture. I love it so much, man. I everything about you guys, I love it all. I love it. And I start dressing in the traditional attire.
Garb.
I start talking with an accent out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? I start, you know what I'm saying, learning the language to the point where I'm just trying to just naturally, you know, there are people, I can guarantee it, I don't give a fuck what anybody says, there are going to be a group of people that embrace that and a group of people that's like, hey, you're
doing too much.
You're doing too much. You're trying to embarrass our culture, and we don't like it. You know what I'm saying? And then there's gonna be a group of people who's like, I think it's really cool that you like us that much. You know what I'm saying? That you want to be a part of us. Come in here and have some goddamn you know, what's some of that stuff? I don't eat Indian food that much.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever they
you know what I'm saying? But
come here and have some naan bread with us.
I do like naan. Chicken satay or something. You know, whatever. You know what I'm saying? When they do that, it's like, so I always feel like I don't feel too bad against it because it's like I feel like every culture does it. So it's like you can't be like, oh, you guys are. Then every culture does it because there's always going to be people over there that feel like you're making fun of us. You know what I mean? That's disrespectful. And then there's going to be half other people like, no, it's not.
Yep.
And then there's going to be unanimous. Like everybody's like, oh, yes, it is.
But also that's how we grow as well. You know what I mean? You want to sample a little bit from everything. Not every, you know, people can't keep it hostage. And as long as their heart's in the right place, I'm not mad at them. Sometimes, like I said, yes, they might look a little bit goofy, but.
Right. These guys are smiling. They're fucking enjoying themselves. And they're in fucking poverty-stricken areas, man. And they found an outlet through hip-hop. Amen to that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not even religious like that.
It aligned with them of this is what they're talking about.
Right.
I feel like I'm living the same thing. So
they
now,
said,
you know.
Struggle music?
Yep.
I'm struggling.
And one of the craziest shits is one of the guys that was talking that he seemed to be accepting of everything. Because like we were saying, some of the guys in there were like, I hate that now this guy's doing comedy music and making fun of it.
Right.
But the one guy that was like, hey, people are doing hip hop everywhere. I love it. What was interesting to me, and because of the age that I am thinking back, that guy's first rap song that he heard was Hate It or Love It by 50 Cent and Game, which I was like, whoa.
Right.
I mean, and it was cool. You know, he liked it and everything, and that's one of the things, because he said he heard that song, then he saw 8 Mile, but I'm like, wow, your first rap song that you heard was Hate It or Love It by 50 Cent.
And you go,
it's a great song.
Right. But you think about when we go into our hip-hop heads of like how far removed you are from my first hip-hop song.
Yeah.
You know, it's like... catch up to speed. You missed a lot.
Exactly. Yeah, because like when I was hearing these are the breaks, you know what I'm saying? And
like you missed a lot, pal. There's this whole
Yeah.
90s thing, baggy pants, you know what I mean? It was Timberland boots. Shit got real.
Yeah. And I think too, it is that just the time it takes to get there over into that culture. It's like I said, I'm not mad at them. Sometimes they look goofy, but I'm glad that they're doing what they're doing.
Right.
And for it to get as big as where Divine was in they made a movie about the guy, and it wasn't no janky ass, you know.
Right. And I think a lot of it's going to happen with the way some of them will learn about maybe some things will be disrespectful when they get that exposure, if they do. Because they might not ever, some of them. You know what I mean? They might not ever make it to the States. And it's just like you said, in their own kind of bubble, you're trapped in that bubble of like, yeah, well, we have the internet, but, you know, we doing the right thing here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Nobody else, because, you know, Americans ain't really jumping on the Indian wave like, you motherfuckers, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? There are going to be a couple. But for the most part, man, they got something that their people are following. And it's like this, man. If you like a genre, to me, you like a genre of music so much, it's like, man, if, like, there was only a Chinese, like, you like Kung Fu movies.
Alexa, stop.
Like Kung Fu movies. Like, you love Kung Fu so much, and then what Americans started doing, we started making our own Kung Fu movies.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
And
saying?
people started taking karate classes, and
Right.
people started, you know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, hence Bruce Leroy was born in the hood. Nigga, let's go.
True.
Dragon.
Like I said, as long as if you're doing it in a respectful way, and even if you're doing it in a comedy way, but you're not doing it in a like none of those cats had blackface on. You know what I'm saying? Like it was as long as you're being as respectful as possible, and it's because you kind of want to use it as a tool to grow, and you really feel like you get along with it, and you really feel like it touches you in a certain place. I understand that, and I think that that's acceptable. If, you know, it's not people trying to be disrespectful to it, it's just people trying to grow.
Right.
Man, if someone's mad at me for eating Chinese food, what am I going to fucking do?
How dare you? You're not Chinese.
Go?
Like, well, I know. It's like, I can't eat the shit now.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, if I were to walk into a Chinese restaurant establishment in a gi and a fucking hat with a couple, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to get the look, man. They're going to be like, all right. They're going to talk all kinds of shit in Chinese. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. It's happening.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
OG and a gi.
Yeah, it's like, oh, yeah, they're going to smile and go like this. And as soon as like, this motherfucker think he's, this stupid American. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's happening, man. So I think that same thing happens across the way. All in all, man, it makes my heart happy being a hip hop lover and going through the times and the eras of you know, a lot of powers that be were trying to shut the genre down. You know what I'm saying? And being part of the youth that was the voice, like, nah, man, we gonna keep buying this shit. We love this shit, and then helping it. You know, it might have got to some of the point where some of the shit now is like, oh man, it's not, man. What did I fight for? You know, there's a generation of motherfuckers like, man, I ain't do all this damn fighting Dionne Warwick ass in courtrooms and protesting with, you know, not me per se, but, you know, people that were, you know, older at the time than me, you know, were in there fighting for a genre of music and us keeping it alive.
I mean, keeping it alive, speaking of people like that, Two Live Crew, Uncle Luke, people like that who they really got arrested for this fucking, Too Short would get arrested for this music.
For opening his mouth about something that was like, it's entertainment, man. I mean, if that's the case, man, you know, welcome to the jungle. I don't know. Maybe it's like, what was that against animals? What are we talking about? Arrest them all. You know what I mean?
True.
Like, you know.
But overall, this was a pretty dope documentary. It was nice. And I say with every documentary we watch, with anything that we watch, learning is always cool. So now there's something I know about that I didn't know about before. I will leave the link to the documentary in the description. It's called The Birth of Gully Rap. India's underground hip hop scene, which was definitely eye-opening.
Exposure. You know? Understanding, people.
Time and truth.
The truth. And at the end of the day,
it's the beginning of the night.
You niggas are special to each one of us.
Until next week, Watermelon versus Pumpkin. Guns, bushes, bird gang.
Throw them. Toss them. Love them. Rake these niggas.
Watermelon versus Pumpkin.